You're never going to feel ready because ready is not a feeling. Ready is a decision. Be decisive. Welcome back to another episode of Make It to Midnight. This is episode 19. I'm your host, JP Hovey, and that was the quote of the day. If you're new to Make It to Midnight, I'll keep it real, short, and simple for you. We're here to help people, you guessed it, make it to midnight through inspiration, positivity. I'm going to be sharing stories about people that inspire me, that kind of when I wake up in the morning, and if I think about one of these stories or think about one of these quotes I might share, it helps me through my day. So hopefully it can help you through your day. What I'm going to be talking about today is the 5 traits that almost every single person you look up to has. And there's so many more traits than this, but I tried to narrow it down to 5 because the coolest thing about this is that none of these traits are God-given traits. These are all things that you can work on. These are all, like the quote of the day, these are all decisions you can make with how you want to carry yourself throughout your day, week, month, year, your whole life. And the 5 traits are this. Again, there's way more, but I'm focusing on these 5 today. And I'm going to give you guys some examples of some people that embody this, some maybe examples from my life that I've seen or that I've observed. But here they are, the 5 traits. Trait number 1, integrity. Trait number 2, generosity. Trait number 3, resilience. Number 4, authenticity. And number 5, discipline. But we're going to start with integrity because integrity is one of the most important things that you can have as a man. Trust takes years to build and moments to break. That's one of my favorite quotes when it comes to integrity, and it's true, man. You spend your whole life building up your reputation, and it can be taken down in one decision, one mistake. The example I have of integrity to me is being who you say you are. Everybody knows what to expect when they walk into a room with you. They know the energy you're going to give off. If they work with you, they know the work you're going to put in. They can trust you because you're a person of integrity. And I want to focus on James Doty. He was a neurosurgeon who developed early tech and brought the cyberknife, which is a radiation therapy device. He brought that to market and changed that part of the medical industry. But what's unique about him, and from the start, his goal was to help people, right? He's a neurosurgeon. He's a professor. He was a professor at Stanford. He was doing all these things that was helping people. And so in this process of him becoming successful in his professional life, he got close to being worth $100 million. But remember, what he wants to do is help people. So of that 70, 80 million, he says he's going to put 30 million worth of stock. He's going to donate that to charity whenever the time comes. Now, James Doty was popular, or he was achieving these things in the 1980s. When 2001 rolls around and the dot-com crash happens, he loses almost every single piece of what he's worth because of that crash, except what he had put away to give to charity. Now, everybody around him says, hey, everybody will understand if you take this 30 million that you were going to give away and use it to get back on your feet, whatever it was. And he thought about it for a little while and he was like, man, I said I was going to do this, so I need to be about this. So what did he do? He decided not to take that money out. He gave it away to the people. And when he was reflecting on it, he had this powerful statement about money. He says, after I gave the money away, it was at that moment I realized that the only way that money can bring happiness is when you give it away. Now, of course, money can buy a lot of cool things. It can buy a lot of temporary happiness items or get you on a trip. But the overall sentiment of this is true because how much of our lives is revolved around money, and how many people do you know whose identity is attached to money? And that is why it is so key to be charitable. It doesn't have to be your money. You could also say this about time. Time and money, I'd say, are the 2 biggest things that you need to give away, and it's the 2 things. And time is the one thing that we all have, even though it goes by fast, but those are the things that we should give away. So James Doty, great example of being a man of integrity. You think about all your favorite athletes, whoever you look up to, integrity is a key piece of them, and you wouldn't look up to them if they didn't have it. The second one I want to talk about, and it kind of just bleeds right in from that first one, generosity. And this one is Eugene Lang. Eugene Lang, he founded a tech company in 1951, kind of in the typewriter industry, but he amassed an insane amount of income, and he went on to license patents to company as big as IBM. But Eugene was intent on sharing the wealth. And you might have even heard this story before, but there was a time, I think in the 1980s also, where he went to go to East Harlem and he spoke to a group of sixth graders. And he got so inspired by seeing the hope in their eyes and just getting the energy from the whole middle school and feeling just the excitement that these kids had for whatever was going to be next in their life. So what did he do? He decided to vouch to everybody in that room, if you guys graduate high school, I promise you I will pay your college tuition. Now, before I go further, guys, I know 99% of us will not be in the position to pay for somebody's school, and that's not the point I'm trying to get across. We can think way smaller, but these are just awesome examples of it on the top end of the scale. But he started a foundation, the I Have a Dream Foundation, and he went on to send thousands of children across America to get an education. And I want to stop right here because I was having this thought earlier about who I think are the most wise people in the world, honestly, in our day-to-day lives. And I would say it's kids, and then it's people who have raised kids in a good home. And why do I say kids? I know that could sound crazy when it comes to wisdom, because kids value all of the right things. Kids don't care about how rich somebody is, what kind of status they have, what kind of job they have. What do they care about? They care about these 5 things that we're talking about. And number 1, they care about if somebody is nice to them. And that is the baseline. That's the only thing they need from somebody. They need to know about somebody if they're going to give them a chance, if they're going to like them. And it's if they're kind to them. Now, flip that to when you're a parent and you've raised kids. The number 1 thing you want out of people is not money. Of course, it helps with the family, but when it comes to the number 1 thing you want for your family, for your kids, is you want the world to be kind to them. You don't want them to have to face just unnecessary evil in the world, which it will happen, but it's the number 1 thing we're focused on. But for whatever reason, it's not the number 1 thing we chase in our lives. But I just wanted to get that thought out there. The next trait is resilience. Now, this is a story that I love. It's about Keith Urban. Keith Urban is a country music artist from Australia, and he has a crazy story in itself. When he was on some drugs, he went into rehab. He was on a path that he was going to die pretty early, but he was able to turn it around. He took his accountability, and now he was one of the most successful country artists of all time. But one of my favorite stories is before he was famous, Keith Urban was playing music. He switched with his friend, right? His friend needed him to do a favor for him at a bar somewhere. I don't know if this was in Nashville or back in Australia, but his friend said, "Hey man, could you pick up this 5:00 shift for me? I really can't make it, and I don't want the bar owner I don't want to get on his bad side because I need this gig." Now, if you're a country music artist, if you're any kind of artist, you know that happy hour is not the hour you want to be there, or that 4 to 6, because a lot of times people are there, and especially where Keith Urban was, this is like a smaller town bar. People are already upset with their day. They're there because they want to get a drink before they go home to their family. These are not young kids showing up to a happy hour. It's an older crowd bar. And so Keith Urban is playing his music. And if you've listened to Keith Urban, you know that he has plenty of upbeat songs, but he also has some sad songs. And he was trying out some of his slower songs because pretty much nobody was at this bar except for one person. And Keith Urban is playing his music. And this one person gets up from the bar, walks up to right in front of him, and just stares at him and just starts going, "You suck. You suck. Turn this off. This is horrible. Give up music." Who knows what was going on in that guy's day, but he's staring Keith Urban in his eyes and telling him these things. And remember, Keith Urban at this time is not Keith Urban. He's not making money. This gig could be the most money he's getting paid all week, but he gets fed up with it, but he keeps going, right? He's not going to let this one negative opinion deter him from chasing his dreams. And he did it. And that became a building block for him, because after he went through that, he's like, well, it can't get much worse than this, because one guy staring at you face to face, nobody else in the room telling you suck, is honestly a little bit tougher to deal with in a room that could be booing you, but they wouldn't even be booing you because you're not even the main attraction when you're at that level. But Keith Urban showed back up. He was resilient, and it paid off for him in the end, and it made him stronger in the end. Now, this one is probably my favorite one, and I think is the most important one, and it is authenticity. Because there is only one of you, and you have got to embrace that there's only one of you. Because I promise you, you offer something to this world that nobody else can offer. It doesn't matter what kind of time you're going through right now. You might not feel this way about yourself, but there is no way to talk yourself out of saying you're not one of one, because there's not a single person on this earth. There's not a single person of the 7 billion, 8 billion, however many people we got now. Not a single one of those people has the same fingerprint as you, and that means they do not have the same characteristics, traits, strengths, gifts as you do. So keep showing up, because I promise you, we need you, and show up as yourself, because that is going to get the job done more than anything else. And I've got 5 people listed here that stayed true to themselves despite the job that they were holding. And the job I took, because I feel like this job can get, can get kind of degraded as you go through life. And it's the job of a janitor. Let me read off to you some people that were janitors. Tony Robbins, he's one of the best motivational speakers, best-selling author. He was a janitor. Jim Carrey, one of the greatest comedians and actors of all time. He was a janitor. Stephen King, the man that pretty much owns the horror film genre. He was a high school janitor. And actually, fun fact about him, the movie Carrie, the book Carrie, which was one of his first bestsellers, he got inspiration from that job of being a janitor, working in there at night and getting the creative juices flowing. He got the creative juices flowing because of the job he was in the atmosphere. And at the time, of course, he doesn't know that that's going to be the one. He even threw away the book that he was writing because he hated it so much, but his wife dug it out, and then it went on to become his big break in that industry, which we're going to get to discipline in a little bit, but you want to talk about discipline. Stephen King, he's known to be writing 2,000 words a day, every single day. Don't skip a holiday. Don't skip a birthday. Don't skip any of these things. He was committed to the craft, and that is why he became as successful as he was. But Sidney Weinberg, the man who ran Goldman Sachs, a.k.a. Mr. Wall Street, he was a janitor. And his might be the most impressive, because to run Wall Street, you think of a bunch of suits, right? And he didn't even start out as a janitor, actually. He started out as a janitor assistant, making $3 per week. This is back in the 1920s. Making $3 per week. And his main job was to brush partners of Goldman Sachs hats. Brushing their hats was his job. You fast forward, he becomes the top dog at Goldman Sachs and is responsible for saving the company during the Great Depression. And remember, he started as a janitor assistant. Now, any one of these people, knowing how charismatic they are, they could have easily settled, easily pandered, and gone and done something else that they wanted to do, but they would it probably wasn't going to be aligned with who they were fully. They were going to cave to somebody else. Whatever somebody else needed to build their dreams, they would help them out instead of focusing on their own and building their dreams. But they all stayed true to themselves. They all succeeded by being themselves too. These people all are either running their own company or the CEO of their own life, and that is the true sign of authenticity. And then the last trait that the people we look up to, and I just said it a second ago, but discipline. And I don't even have one example for you, because the past 4 that I mentioned, each one of these people has discipline. You can't find one single successful person that does not have discipline. Discipline equals freedom. If you do not have the daily habits, you're not going to get to the places that you say you want to get to. All right, and to wrap things up, I'm going to close it out with 5 different proverbs for each of these traits of the people that we look up to. For discipline, this is a Chinese proverb. It's this: constant dripping wears away the stone. For authenticity, a duck tried to roar like a lion and meow like a cat. The animals laughed until it quacked. A candle lit another, then another, until the room glowed. It was asked if it lost anything by sharing. The candle replied, "No, I only gained." It gained the light. Come on, y'all. Resilience. The oak fought the wind and was broken. The willow bent when it must and survived. And then finally, integrity. A single lie destroys a whole reputation for integrity. And there's also this quick story that I love on integrity, and it's about Mahatma Gandhi. And it says, Gandhi was asked to tell a boy to stop eating sugar. He asked the family to return in 2 weeks. When they did, he told the boy, "Stop eating sugar." The mother asked why he waited. Gandhi replied, "Because I had to stop first." And that is the lesson that we will end this episode of Make It to Midnight on, because don't be spewing things out of your mouth if you are not willing to go and do those exact things, if you're not willing to live the lifestyle that you're putting out onto everybody else. And you're not going to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect in that lifestyle, but you need to be transparent about where you're at in your journey, because then you're going to be able to make a way bigger impact than if you're just lying to try and get people to try and influence people. So thank you for being here for another episode of Make It to Midnight. This is episode 19. Next week we'll be dropping episode 20. Not sure what it's going to be about yet, so let me know in the comments what you would want to hear about. And thank you for being here. I always appreciate all the Instagram DMs, the comments on the YouTube channel. Last week we had some new people commenting, so thank you to everybody new that's here at the channel. And stay tuned because we have a lot of content coming. Appreciate you guys, and keep making it to midnight.